All right, you guys, you're listening to the Bushwick Bears Petty Crime Review. This week we're talking about open containers.
Open containers, open complaints. That's all white women do, according to our guest, Maddy Smith.
It's facts on facts, myself included. My complaint, this podcast sucked. No, I'm kidding.
Welcome to Bushwick Bears Petty Crime Review. Slight technical difficulties. We are short a cable, but that's all right. We're harmonizing. This week, our guest is Maddy Smith.
Second guest ever on the podcast.
Second guest ever.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
What the hell's happening?
Well, we're talking about petty crimes, and this week, what are we doing?
We're doing open container.
Yep.
Open container.
Classic white
Open
girl.
Classic white girl
container.
crime. Hell yeah.
One of the pettiest of crimes, in my personal opinion.
Mad
It's
petty.
been a crime in Europe, right?
Or New Orleans.
Or New Orleans.
Or
yeah.
New Orleans, yeah. Or all of New York for a brief period of time.
Yeah.
For a
During
minute with
This
COVID.
whole summer, we
Right.
turned into Margaritaville.
I know, that was fucking awesome. Actually, I remember at first when, like, right-wing people were going crazy over, like, the government's taking away our rights. Over here in Brooklyn, we're like, we have new rights.
Yeah.
Right.
We can drink in public now.
Yeah, we can all sit on our stoops and drink.
Yeah.
You know? Like, yeah.
Back in the day in New York, we used to it was because it was only a $25 fine. So we just said, we're like, fuck it. We'll just pay if we get caught for drinking in the park on a nice day, we'll just pay the fine.
Just pay the fine. It's like it's just like a cover fee. And no one's going to come back and give you another one. So you just
No.
keep drinking after they give it to you.
Hell
Plus,
yeah,
I
that's
heard it-
bottle service on the street.
Yeah, I heard if you're hot, it's free. You only get a fine if you didn't bring it.
Oh, no wonder I've never been fined.
Maddie, have you had experience with this?
Yes, it's like my only crime ever, other than, of course, many speeding tickets in high school. But when I was in college, I was walking around with a Bud Light.
Yeah,
And
classy. I
to a
love it.
party, so classy.
Oh, yeah.
So disturbing. I was in my slut clothes, walking. Cop pulls up. And then my friend was like, throw the beer. And, of course, he saw everything. And he's like, is that your beer? And I was like, no, officer. I'll give you a blowjob to make it not my beer. And that didn't work. So he just charged me with open container. I was fucking a dumbass. But also, get out of here.
Wait. I'm just trying to envision you, like, seeing a cop and then, like, hurriedly throwing, like, a Bud
Like,
Light.
chucking
into some
a
bushes
heavy-
or whatever.
Yeah.
And try to be like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
Bud Light? Yeah, I do have a lot of buds. Yeah, we threw it. By then it was too late. You know the cops pull up, you know it's too late.
Right.
It's like when
yeah.
you pass a cop and you were going 100 miles an hour and
just
you
start
just
hitting
your
slow down
brakes.
to 30 and it's too late.
This isn't related, but I have a trick that I do that probably will never work. But I pull my e-brake because I think that the brake lights won't light up if I use the handbrake
Oh.
light.
You
That
also might
sounds-
flip over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
no
gonna spit out and
kidding,
flip
Vin
over on the
Diesel.
highway.
Yeah. What are you, Tiger Woods today?
Very timely.
Very
I know.
I was browsing the news on the way here.
You're about to pull a Paul Walker. man.
Yeah, I was
Like,
gonna say you power slide in front of him to impress the cop. That's how you get away with it.
we're going to have like a ludicrous music montage for Boris at the end of a show.
Not a heavy one. I'm not like going over my handlebars. You know,
It
it's just.
sounds like that would destroy your car.
It's probably not. No, I think it's the same brakes. It's just like the hand activated version. But to get back on the drinking one, this isn't something I did. But the year after I graduated, all the kids in my high school went I think it was like a Model U entry, like some kind of thing where it's all the like honors kids going on some trip, did this scheme where they emptied a whole case of sodas and then put alcohol through holes on the bottom and soldered them shut. And it was brilliant, and they all got caught, and all their
Oh.
Ivy League college shit got compromised. They got like majorly fucked over.
Jesus.
I would have rewarded, like, that's a smart, I don't know how
That's
they got
pretty
caught.
ingenuitive.
That's
yeah.
like, okay, you get a scholarship to MIT for doing that rather
Right,
than
yeah.
punishment. That's like talent more than just like, oh shit, my bong.
Well, what's
I got
funny
caught
is
with my bong.
The scheme was brilliant, and I'm sure they got caught just because they were like in their hotel and none of them knew how to drink or party and probably were like loud
Yeah.
and wasted everywhere.
Yeah, nerds
Yeah.
ruin it for themselves like every time.
They go fucking nuts. Nerds, and especially like in college, they like fuck too because it's their first time.
Yeah, it was red. That was red.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's the guy with the Transformer tattoos let us know how that goes.
No, I learned that there was a line about that in Revenge of the Nerds 1, and that stuck with me forever.
Oh, I've heard that too.
Well, because all he says,
I was too cool to get laid.
Where were you when this happened?
I was in college, and the college I went to was in a college town upstate called Geneseo, near Buffalo and Rochester.
Oh, I thought that was a beer. I always see that.
Genesee.
Okay.
It's like in the Genesee Valley, so everything there, and it's like Native American related. We just took the Native American name and turned it into a beer, which is super respectful.
Sounds about right.
And they probably
That
don't
sounds
get
like
any
America.
money for it. Yeah. And so it's called Geneseo. So it was like this little village.
Okay.
So we were like when you walk to parties in there, it's like regular house, frat house, regular house.
Hell
So
yeah.
we were just walking down like a nice village with beers in our hand, me and my friend.
Oh, gotcha.
That
sounds like tranquil. That sounds like a place where you shouldn't be arrested for something like that or ticketed. It's
Yeah,
like,
and you would also think there's no one around here. Like I should be able to walk in peace to this party with a beer in my hand.
how old were you?
Freshman
you also
year I was
underage?
19. Not,
So
yeah,
Underage. Okay. There.
Did you get both charges, underage and open container, or does it fall under
I think it was just open container, and I think of course the cop was like, "I see you're underage, but from me to you, I'm just gonna give you open container." I'm like, "Great, that's like all of my money that I'm gonna have to pay for that." But they always flip a favor.
right,
you know.
right.
You were speeding, but I'm just gonna give you your headlights broken, even though it's not, and it's gonna charge you a lot of money.
Right, yeah. Do you think to some degree, like, it was, like, the cop being, like, cops like small towns, they always, like, try and, like, or in college towns especially, it seems like they do the ruse if they're dudes, and they're like, I'm looking out for you, kid.
Right.
Especially to, like, a woman. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Did it, like, because you probably haven't had a lot of police interactions, did you feel like that might have been a factor involved in it?
I think so. I mean, he wasn't mean at all. It was pretty matter of fact, which is my white privilege is showing.
Right.
I'm like, he was like so nice about it. I honestly, after that, I was like, I want to be a cop. I respect you so much. But I do think that, and I know that he had this mentality because I also one time went to the hospital for drinking in college, and the doctor in this small town tried to be my mentor. So I know that like every official in this small town is like, all right, I'm going to help her out here with the
Right.
students.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to add, we talked about it before, that I also went to the hospital for
Oh,
drinking
yeah.
in college. But I'm wondering now, one of our like takeaways during our underage drinking episode was just like, it fucking ruled when I was young. And now that I'm older, I'm like, fuck these kids. Don't let them get anywhere near this shit. Like the way you're saying, like there was a frat house and then a bunch of real houses. Immediately my heart goes with the people in those real houses.
Yeah.
That's a fucking nightmare.
Nightmare. And I stayed in the town over the summer. It was like heaven. It was paradise. It was so tranquil, so peaceful. And the minute the students came back, the town was ruined. And the people in the town
Yep.
hate the students.
Hell yeah.
I'm just like, why would you live in that town if there's other small towns that don't have colleges in them with the same
Maybe
vibe?
they showed up during the summer and they bought a house and
Yes.
like this
Yeah.
place is amazing. There's so many weird little restaurants and there's a couple bars because normal small towns without colleges don't have that many restaurants or bars.
Main Street USA is fucking nasty. Crumbling. It's
My-
so true.
My when I got arrested for drinking in public, and it was a much different situation because I was like 30 years old, 32 or something when it happened. And it was like Memorial Day or Labor Day. It was a Monday holiday.
Mhm.
And we were supposed to go to this lake, and like last minute my buddy who was going to drive us all was like, dude, I'm too hungover, I'm not going to make it. And so but two of my friends the meeting point was my house, and two of my buddies had already shown up. It's like 10:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, fuck, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, let's go up to the convenience store and get some shots. Because in Arizona, everyone
Duh.
sells everything.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Let's get some beers. We'll get a couple of shooties for the road. It'll be great. So we walk up to the Circle K, like literally down an alley 200 feet from my house. We get 2 tall boys each and 2 shooters each, like airplane shooters. We're walking down the alley. We slam the shooters. I throw the empty shooter in the garbage, and 2 cops on bicycles pulled up into the alley and goes, I saw you do that. I saw me do what? Throw my trash in a trash can? And he's like, no, I saw you guys take those shots. And I was like, and?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
it's so,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm so not aware. I was like, so?
Yeah, you're an adult.
I'm 32 years old. Like, what's up? And he's like, I'm gonna have to write you guys up for that. I was like, I literally was like, for what? That's my porch.
Yeah.
We're back to the same thing we were talking about earlier, where the problem is that you have morons whose discretion it is to decide whether to apply this law or not.
I agree. Like, the cops coming out of nowhere is very weird. Your house is right there. That's like hall monitor shit.
Right, for sure. I got arrested one time, or I got ticketed one time for open container on the L train, 2 a.m, coming home from a Bushwick Bear show. I worked at a liquor store at the time. I had a shooter, and like you can't see it audibly. Like you see how big my hands are. They wrap around like
They're
a
massive.
Coke can.
It's
Right.
like a paper bag. Your hand is a paper
Huge.
Yeah,
bag.
no, for sure. You can't see. Like I had a little shooter in my hand like this.
Right.
You can't see it whatsoever. I go like that. 3 undercovers on the L train.
Dude.
Pull me off the train. So I had to wait. Not only did I get ticketed, I got ticketed improperly because they didn't fill it out correctly. So I couldn't pay for it, which led to me getting arrested for
Yeah.
having a bench warrant. So and
Oh,
then
shit.
and then I ended up getting, and then I'm also like, I'm 45 minutes. I have to wait for another train, the L train, which at the time was being worked on, and it's 2 a.m. on a Sunday, so they're not coming frequently anyway. So it's like you just fucked my whole life over for being an adult. It is circumstantial because these 3 guys needed to make an arrest,
Yeah.
or else they couldn't justify wasting taxpayer dollars in Williamsburg.
I mean, this is how
Yeah.
I'm going to play devil's advocate again. This is how.
You son of a bitch.
Well, because this is what it is, right? It's really hard to have an objective law that says you're too drunk to be on the train. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and not only that, but it's harder for cops to enforce something where it's like, well, if you speak at this decibel level,
Yeah.
it's not good. If you come within this many inches of other people's, but if you're getting fucking wasted, chances are you're doing those things, and it's just easier to be like, if we catch you with a can, if you're too stupid to get caught with it, we're just gonna nail you for that, so that we don't have to bother doing the more difficult thing, which is like trying to actually like navigate the way people behave on trains.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree with that. It should be a crime for an adult, or whatever. But like circumstantially, get off my case.
Yeah, I know. I'm always like, it's a good law, and then it happens to me. I'm like, what the fuck? I was speeding safely. That's so rude.
Well, the punishment definitely outweighed my quote unquote crime, but it led to like one of the funniest moments of my life. So there was 3 of us, and we all got the ticket, right? And they're like, okay, you have to go to court. And so we went to the big arraignment court or whatever. Where have you ever been to that? Where it's like it's for where you just you like a traffic ticket.
Yeah.
It's like it's before COVID. You walk into a giant room. There's like 100 people
So
in there. They
many,
tell you
yeah.
to come at 9, but they might not call your name till 2 p.m. And they just go through it. They call you up, every single one, and they say either if you don't plead guilty, they give you a court date. Right? And so
Yes.
me and my 3 friends went there, and we're in there for hours. There's hundreds of people, and we're in there so long. And I was like, fuck, this sucked. But I noticed that every time someone hit the handicap door thing, it made the 2 doors open and went like, ka-kong, ka-kong. It made a big loud noise, and everyone turned around every time. So I was like, fuck. I was like, you know what? Fuck this. And I look at my friends, and we're just being silent. And I go, Daddy needs a soda. And they're like, what? And so I go and I get a Mountain Dew. And I always remember, because coming back, and I had my whole plan about what I was going to do, but there was a guy sitting there, like, obviously done a lot of time. This is in Tucson, Arizona. He's a Mexican dude, like, multiple teardrops, his whole forehead tattooed up, terrifying-looking human being.
Right.
And he's sitting right in front of those doors, and I was like, oh, man, oh, fuck it. Now I'm scared of this guy. But I had to stick with my plan, so I just did it. I went, and I sidekicked the handicap thing to open the door. So the door goes, ka-kong, ka-kong. And everyone turns around and looks at me, and I take that Mountain Dew and I slam it all in one gulp. I throw it on the ground and I go, do the do. And then I go sit down. And my friends are like freaking out laughing, and I look over at the prison guy, and he's like, yeah.
Hell
So
yeah.
I knew that it was funny. I knew the joke landed. You know?
Yeah,
Wow.
if you can make that guy laugh.
Well,
like,
they
you're
gave me,
fine.
and maybe it's because I was acting a fool in the courtroom, but I had to do an adult responsibility class.
Hate.
8 hours with a bunch of shoplifting meth head moms. Like, even to the point where the guy, like, I sat in a room in a horseshoe and everyone was like, why are you here? And the guy came to me and I go, I was drinking in an alley with my friends. And the guy goes, it is what it is. Sorry.
I mean, that's yeah.
I mean, that Mountain Dew joke, death penalty.
Yeah.
Well, this is another one of those things where like you were walking with an open container. There is a difference between that and driving with an open container as well. Which when I was a kid, I used to think, well, if you're an adult, why can't you just drive with a beer? You're an adult. You have a car. One beer is not going to get you drunk enough. And that's why I had a misconception about alcohol, because they were telling me like if one beer is punishable by a crime, then like one beer must get you wasted or whatever. So I was always afraid you have a beer, because I'd be like, oh yeah, whatever. And now I have like 12 beers and drive. I'm fine.
I mean,
That's so true. The DARE program freaked us out too.
Yeah.
They would say like abstinence, like, and I remember one time in the DARE program, I raised my hand and I was like, my dad has like a couple beers on a Friday. Is he a bad person? Because they make you paranoid. And the cop was like, I don't know. That's up to your dad, isn't it? And, and for like 1 week, I became that kid who was like, you really shouldn't be drinking, Dad. And then it ended, of course, when I started drinking a week later.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say my grandpa, who worked for the highway department for like 60 years, this was his routine. He would go, and on the way to work, he had a little mini cooler. He'd get a 6-pack of Budweiser, throw it in the cooler, and put that behind the passenger seat. So then he'd go work his whole day. He'd work 10 hours or whatever. But then he'd get in his car, because it was like, you're usually out. He'd be out in the sticks, had to drive an hour home. So then he'd reach over and finish the 6-pack before he got home.
Wow.
That was just normal.
That's the dream.
That's what happened in the Navy, man. You know, a lot of guys, because like driving, I was in Norfolk, Virginia, the Hampton Roads area, which encompasses like 5 like little small towns. And a lot of guys would drive in, because you have like a military base with 50,000 people who are getting off of work around the same time. You could sit in traffic for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
I knew a lot of guys who would just like get a 6-pack for the ride home, like every day. And I'm like,
Wow.
you're fucking bananas if you do that, like every day. Not only are you an alcoholic, but also like you're gonna get pulled over by the cops eventually, or into an accident,
Or one of the two, yeah.
yeah, you're gonna lose like everything. And like, especially like in a place like that, like where they have so many cops who are out like looking for shit, and like to pull you over an HOV lane or whatever. It's just more of that like sort of net thing.
Did you change your behavior significantly after you got ticketed with it?
No, I definitely didn't. I think I just put more alcohol in water bottles after that. And
Right.
like would put it in my purse and like hide more.
I mean, that's the funny part about that law, is all you need to do to avoid it is just put it in a different container.
Yeah.
Right?
Or what I also did in college was binge heavily. I think that event made me panic more about not being drunk enough, because I'd be like, well, I don't want to get caught, so I'll take a few more shots just to keep the drunk. Because where I went to school was so fucking cold that you had to black out to be warm. So...
You're talking to somebody from the Soviet Union, so I feel you.
Buffalo, Soviet
The whole
Union, they're the
culture.
same thing.
Yeah.
So we would get super drunk, and so that open container thing just pushed me even more to be like, just keep drinking and you'll stay warm on the walk.
We used to call that front loading.
Yeah.
So we'd front load the night out. You do a
Yep.
bunch of shots and then go out.
We
Do you
did
guys,
that.
do
It
you
was
guys remember
pre-gaming.
breathalyzer parties? Did you do those?
No.
We had those at Rutgers where you had to blow a breathalyzer a certain level to get into the party.
Oh, to prove that you were drunk enough?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, like it's like a gimmick. Like
Hell
I don't.
yeah.
It sounds very. I mean, I guess rapey is the simple way to put it.
Yeah, that's the first place I went to.
But
Wow, that's actually the last. I was more just like, they want to have a
Woo.
fun time. But now I'm seeing from a female perspective, such as Derek's.
I never did those parties. That was Boris
Derek
over
is
here.
my
Yeah.
favorite female perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it is like it's a good time. But also, it's exactly that. All those laws that were meant to stop kids from drinking definitely just resulted in, like, you don't want to get caught outside, so you do a
Yeah.
bunch of shots at home. You might not be 21, so you won't get served at the bar, but you might get into the bar. So you either do a bunch of shots at home, or you do like I used to do at bars in New York when I first got here and didn't have any money, which is get Cokes and then bring a little whiskey or something in my
bring your
pocket
own.
and just pour it into there.
When
Hell yeah.
I was in the Navy, we pulled into Boston the first 4th of July after 9/11. And so like I know it was like
Party time.
I know for sure. And I was 22, and one of the guys that we were out with in the division, he was 19. And we'd show up to a bar. they wouldn't even look at. They'd look at his ID. We'd all show our IDs or whatever. They'd look at his, and he'd be like, "Come on in." And they'd still let him fucking drink because it's like circumstantial. And by the end of the night, he's passed out, head on the fucking table because he's a kid and he's out drinking with us who have been drinking for like a few years now.
I was a bouncer for like 3 years, and most of the time I didn't even look.
Just go.
Just go. You didn't even look at the date. You're just like, you have an ID, take it. I didn't grow up in New York, but I can imagine like New York must have been such a rad place to underage drink.
So I didn't grow up here, but I used to visit my cousin. And before we were 21, first of all, the place to go to for us for a long period of time was Sahara East. I don't know if it's still
I've never
open.
heard of
I'm
that.
sure I'm not getting them into. It's a hookah bar.
Where? In the East Village?
Yeah, it was like a hookah bar with like a large. First of all, they did not ID anyone ever, and some of us were not even like remotely 21 looking.
Yeah.
And also, once in a while, they'd let us sneak some weed into the hookah, which not everybody would do, but
Wow.
a lot of times they turn the other way. But the other big one in New York is just literally any ethnic minority location.
I was gonna say that, but I didn't want to sound.
I can do that as a
Boris
Russian.
qualifies.
Yeah, Boris is saying it. You go.
I'm here as a refugee. Well, I don't even mean it as like ethnic. I guess just cultural.
Yeah.
Just literally anybody who's like from another country where they don't look at these things as like, yeah, the drinking age is arbitrary. In
Yeah.
America, we tie it to like either military service or whatever else. But like in other countries, like you get fucking you drink when you drink. Like whenever your parents decide that you can drink, you drink. And so like I'm sure Chinatown's the same thing. I'm sure any area in
Yeah.
New York that's like or like Greeks in Astoria, you go to any place where they're just like a little more about their own culture than they are about American laws, which is definitely fucking Russians, that's for sure. You'll be fucking drinking.
Yeah.
I bet the coolest place ever to hang out is whatever country that they have that little baby that smokes cigarettes.
Yeah.
Like if they're like letting their kid, like you've seen that video of
yeah,
that
yeah.
little fat kid just lighting up, and I'm like, man, that kid's probably at the bar. Like
What I
hanging
told you
out.
in Mexico they didn't give a shit. And legally it's supposed to be 18, but they didn't care.
Well, legally you're not supposed to murder people for cocaine traffic,
But they didn't care.
Yeah.
I went to this it was the big jazz festival in Aspen, and I went when I was 18, and
to a jazz festival.
Yeah.
no, it was like my friends that like I didn't go to college, but all my friends that went to college were we were all music kids, and a couple volunteered, so they were working it. So we got to go for free as like guests because they were volunteering working this big jazz festival.
Yeah.
So and we went to Aspen, and Aspen back then was only the super rich. It still pretty much is, but it was like super elite.
Yeah.
Like I was playing basketball. There was a hoop set up, and we're playing basketball with two kids. And I look over, and their parents are Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, just chilling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was like that. Like I was like, what am I even doing here? This is weird. But then we went out to a bar in the town, and they didn't even think to ID us.
Right.
Like we're just in there chilling, and at 18, I'm 6'2", like I'm the same,
But
Yeah.
they also don't know who your parents are.
No,
Your dad
right,
could be
yeah.
Tom fucking Hanks. You could be Chet Hanks.
Yeah.
And they don't want to offend
Is he the
anyone in
one that
town.
said the N-word?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he always does like different accents and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's allowed to though, right? Because he said it in patois.
Yeah. I was on Wild 'N Out, so I say it often. That's how it works.
Was that part of the Nick Cannon training program?
It was part of the hazing.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
They're
In,
like, say it. Just say it.
it was in the training videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Um,
seems like that set seems like it was under open container friendly.
The first season was they used to do way more like open bar right after the last episode, and then the second season they were like, we're not doing that. And I think what happened was, I don't know if I can get into that much, but related to the bar thing, like Viacom, I think cut budgets of everyone
Yeah.
before the pandemic. And so we were filming, instead of 2 episodes a day, 3 episodes a day. And the producers, I think, were like, we want them at their highest productivity. We're not giving them an open bar. Because the first season I did was like fun, we're partying every night. And the second season was like work, and now you go home.
I bet there was liability stuff over the years too.
Yeah.
When I first moved to New York, I did ad sales for Viacom.
Oh, shit.
And they
yeah.
had a couple like giant upfront parties that I went to,
Yeah.
and they used to fucking go nuts at those.
Dude, fucking nutso.
And one of the ones, I think it was at the Nokia Theater or some woman got drunk and like fell through one of the bathroom door stalls,
Oh my
and they
gosh.
like brought the paramedics in and
Yeah.
shit. And I think they had like a bunch of episodes like that, a few including myself. That like I had one. I'll say this quickly because this isn't really an open container, but it's close. I got blackout drunk, and I at one of these like ad sales upfronts parties was at a bar. It's the one that looks like a firehouse in like Hell's Kitchen, and
Oh yeah.
and there's a balcony, and I have no idea why I did this. It wasn't in anger because somebody told me. I was literally just talking to them, and I took a rocks glass when I finished drinking it and just threw it off the balcony.
Oh.
I'm not proud of this. Could have
Oh
probably
my
killed
gosh.
somebody.
Yeah, my God.
And then like 20 minutes late, probably less than 20 minutes later, security comes up looking for who did it, and I like in full seriousness just pointed at somebody else and was
Oh
like,
my gosh.
like I like was not taking it seriously. And then
Yeah.
literally like I guess somebody like spoke to me and somehow got through to me to where I was like, okay, this is no good. So I like excused myself and left basically on my own. So thankfully I never got like thrown out or really and then the next day I had to like go through the office and basically like apologize to my boss, apologize.
So
Like,
awkward.
High school level, just apologize to
hate.
the family.
You have to kind of figure
Hey.
too, like those when you start adding alcohol into any corporate event, that's also going to create a lot of scenarios, like you said,
Oh,
like
dude.
the liability thing. But like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, the natural order things, men and women interact. You add
Mhm.
alcohol into it, something doesn't go somebody's way, and it's a fucking problem.
Well, you know, that's what
Game
I've been
over.
doing
Yeah.
for money, like for the before COVID, last 6 years in New York, was working all those corporate parties.
Oh, wow.
And
Wow.
I saw like stuff that I probably shouldn't talk about, and all like big major companies, like, you know, people face planning, people fighting.
Dude.
I've so many times people trying fucking in the bathroom, people doing drugs, like these corporate people especially when the party is on someone on their boss's
Yes.
dime, and
Dude.
they're like shots, and they're just, it's like insanity. That job, I'm so happy for it, and I made a lot of money, and it helped support me for so long. But I saw some stuff that would make your guys' buttholes tighten up, like, because it's so crazy.
Mine's already very tight, but I know what you mean because I used to work in finance, and our annual party was on the Rockefeller rink, but during the summer, so they like
Oh.
rented the whole area.
an ideal
And
time
so-
for ice skating.
Yes,
Yeah.
I brought my skates. I was like, wait, what? But they had so much alcohol, and when you're like with something sneaky in your brain is like, I want to get sexy right now, and I want to show my coworkers that I can fuck, you know, because I don't know. I don't know if you guys get like that when you drink, but when I drink, I'm like, let's get sexy. And when you
Speaking of
add
which.
that,
Mine's
Speaking of getting
let's get
sexy.
sad.
Uh-oh.
It's okay. The audio's still going.
Okay.
We'll just put the little Bushwick Bears symbol in the dash on the thing.
yeah.
yeah.
We're doing a real.
No, like I
professional.
said, but those are like exactly the parties
But
that I've been
yeah.
working for like years and years
It's the
and
same
years.
thing with weddings. You're like, I'm gonna
Oh,
show my
yeah.
cousins I'm cool now,
Yeah.
and we like keep going. And for some reason, I get more like blackout at those kind of events versus my friends.
Right.
'Cause
Right,
you're
yeah.
like, oh shit, I'm warming up with my coworkers who think I'm quiet.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
everyone's
Yeah.
talking and jiving, and then fucking.
They have no idea I'm a monster.
They have no idea what I'm about to say. I've had to remove myself early from parties and be like, I see where this could go, but I'm heading out.
Oh man, we had a work party one time at the hotel I was at, and this girl got so trashed. She was like she was like on the company dance floor, like showing her snatch to people
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah, I know.
It was me.
And then the next day she was so hungover, she got lippy with somebody at her job, and they
Oh.
fucking fired her.
Dude, that's
Yeah,
what
and
I'm
it's like
saying.
never. It's never
No.
like I've come close enough times in my professional.
They were like, we were gonna let the snatch thing slide,
Yes.
Yeah.
but the attitude is really
Yeah.
over the top.
Maybe if you were more shaved.
it was so funny because it was in a right to work state, and so it's
Yeah.
a place where like you can just sit there and fire anybody
Yeah.
for any old reason on a Tuesday, but they were less prone to doing that
Yeah.
because they're like, we're not trying to take responsibility for your.
They were like,
Yes.
we were gonna promote you over the snatch thing, but you ruined it
Right.
with the lip the next day.
I actually think companies want you to like go all out at those parties. They want to see like you guys are family friends. They want to encourage.
they
that. Like,
absolutely
you're
do.
friends,
Yeah.
You stayed out all night last night. They like it, but if it seeps into work the next day, that's when they're like, no, we're not family.
Right.
They-
no.
I've
you
always
are
been
fired.
like I'm
Yeah.
like I'm a ringer at corporate parties and at like weddings. Like I've been to so many invited to so many
Mhm.
weddings because people know that like, oh, he's a party guy. He'll get people going. Like I'll get people on the
Yes.
dance floor
Oh
and
my
stuff.
gosh.
I'm like always that guy, but after years of being that guy, I'm like, man, I hope I didn't fuck anybody's life up. I hope I didn't get more people fired by being the guy that like, no, we're supposed to be having shots right now.
Right. Come
Right,
do coke.
yeah.
What are
Come
you
do a
doing?
shot out of my
Yeah.
belly button.
Yeah.
Share with your husband how you really feel about it.
Tell him.
Growing up where I did that, I grew up in Toledo, Ohio, and they have places where this is in the 80s. I'm dating myself, but like 80s and early 90s.
You
where
aren't
had,
fooling anybody that you're younger than
Yeah,
that.
I was like, "Are you 21?" I thought you were 21.
I am. Where you could drive through and buy alcohol.
Oh hell
Like
yeah!
a drive
Still have those in Arizona.
Yeah, a drive
In
through.
New Orleans, right? They got
Basically like a
Hell
drive-through
yeah.
bodega, but like most of them, you'd see the guy hand it over to him and crack the beer open for him.
Hell
you know,
yeah.
when they're because that's like you're getting served right there. And to transition to like, did you even look at alcohol? Like tonight, because if you did, I'm sending you to jail for life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
It's the open container thing is so wild because in theory I think that it's a law basically to keep like hobos from just drinking on the street, right?
Yeah.
But cops these days, if they see a hobo with a drink, an open container thing, they're not even going to mess with him because they know they're like, oh, he's not going to pay the fine. He's not going to have
there's
any
no
money.
account
Right.
to
There's
no
extract
account
money
for it.
from.
Right, and the like worst case scenario is that it escalates to them on video murdering a homeless man.
Right.
They get a bonus in that regard.
Yeah, that's best case for them.
For them it is. That's promotion, baby.
I'm just picturing a guy with like a rucksack tied to a stick, and he's got like the shitty makeup on or whatever.
Yeah.
When I hear the word hobo, I think old timey like boxcar guy.
Hopping on the
Yeah.
train, yeah.
Not the guy who's got like his Air Force Ones on backwards, peeing himself on the
You-
Yeah,
train.
dick out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys never drank with like a bunch of hobos underneath a bridge? Come on.
No, never.
You haven't lived, man.
Well, here's the thing: is I used to manage a liquor store in Columbus Circle, and we would sell.
Humble brag.
Yeah.
No, that's
Wow.
not a brag whatsoever. It's a liquor store, and I'm just saying where it is because it is prime. It's one of the most expensive zip codes
Yeah.
in the country. I worked at a liquor store that sell airplane bottles of Barton's vodka for $1.25 a piece.
Hell yeah.
It's all those dudes who are like doing your carriage tours or your
Oh,
walking
yeah.
tours in Central Park. They're all hammered all day. That's how they get through like their day and being funny or whatever. Exactly.
Yeah, you might as well be. Plus $1.25. You're
Right.
like, oh, what
Those
the-
Cops know
horses.
it's happening, and then there's homeless people coming and buying it too. So we're
Right.
not like really enforcing this law unilaterally. It's
Yeah.
all circumstantial.
I will say this is one, and we've discussed this before, like with jaywalking, where like it's one of those laws where it's a pain in the ass, but if you didn't have it, like what are you going to do? Have everybody breaking it? This one really feels like you could just not have this law. Like if somebody's drunk in public and they're breaking another law that's actually hurting somebody, then you enforce that law.
I would agree with you, but as a white woman, if you get rid of it's mostly the women because these bitches out here, white women will jaywalk while drunk if neither of those laws are available.
It's funny. I
And-
thought you were going to be like, there's going to be somebody harassing us. I thought it was going to be from like a victimized standpoint.
Not at
No, I like
all.
the accountability.
You're like, we
Yeah.
fucking suck.
Hold your culture to their standard.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you be at shows, white women are drunk in the front row. You're like, wow, I wish I could arrest them now for being drunk.
Right.
And I just feel like they reflect, alcoholism in general.
And then the next
And-
morning, they're calling the cops on you because you're watching birds in Central Park.
Yeah, that's
you know?
see, that's
I-
how
I
it
mean,
happens, Boris. One thing at a time.
I think there's a difference between just having an open container and like public drunkenness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But how do you, what's the level? Like, how do you measure public drunkenness?
if someone's like visibly drunk in the street, you know, like out of like the village drunkard from like a Dylan Thomas fucking poem, you know what I mean? Like that's different than just a kid. Like if I have a beer in a bag and I'm drinking it, I should have every fucking right to do that.
Right, but again, if they're sloppy in public, how do you define that again? Now it's just up to the cop again to decide whether he thinks you're drunk.
Honestly,
Nah,
I feel
fuck
like
it, I
I'm
hate
back
all
at
laws.
12 Angry Men.
Yeah,
This
right.
week I'm like, oh, was this
Yeah.
law school?
I know.
No-
we end up doing
no
this
laws.
Where we end
No
up like,
laws.
I mean, because we all admit that we don't know shit and we're dumb and we like less laws. But then when it comes up, we're like, like for me right now, I'm like, I kind of like this law because it is an excellent indicator as to whether or not you're driving a vehicle drunk, and we've all agreed that
Yeah.
you shouldn't do that.
Well,
I
let's
feel like the discussions have been had, and what we're saying here are like the law wouldn't be there if it couldn't be there.
Right.
Yeah,
I get what
maybe.
you're saying with that. Yeah.
let's
like-
well let's rate it then. Let's
Oh,
let's
yeah, yeah,
rate
yeah.
Okay.
let's rate this law. I personally, it's again a 0. I hate this law. I think it's totally
It's a 0
overrated.
out of 5
It's a
bears.
0 out of 5. This law sucks. Open container law sucks.
Yeah, I'm gonna rate it 0 out of 5 as well. Not a lot of use for it, I think.
I'm giving it 4 out of 5. The 5th time it's when it's not applicable to me, right? So like 4 out of 5 times I agree with it. The 5th time,
I see.
yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm pretty pro this law again.
Class traitor.
White
You're a
women
class traitor.
And also the drunken driving thing.
Right,
You're
as
like,
it being
oh, I'm
like an
drinking
indicator.
on the way to the car.
Right, yeah.
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 Rather than drinking while driving.
I'm drinking on my commute home to go home and endure my kids and
Yeah.
you know, or whatever. Like it's still that person's more likely to get into an accident. So.
I also already hate like drunk civilians on the train at 2 a.m. Is there anything worse than being on the train alone with like a bunch of people who are friends at the other side and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, look at you enjoying
How
yourselves. Just
fucking
shut
dare
up.
you? Don't like this city. Get out of here. So
That's always one of mine is like always I'm like I get so furious when I see people enjoying themselves, experiencing joy. It makes me fucking furious.
0 out of 5 bears for experiencing.
The laughter of children. Awful.
Oh.
God.
Nails on a chalkboard.
horrifying.
Where can people find you, Maddie?
Oh, that was quick. Did I not say enough?
No, you said
Oh.
40. No. We try to keep it
Okay.
around. Yeah. Nobody wants to listen. For
Okay,
too
cool.
long. We suck. No, I'm just
Well, I actually think most podcasts should be closer to them, that level, than an hour 30, which is what most people are pulling right now.
Yeah, or like 3-hour marathons.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like
Happening.
I like workout length. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's when you can listen to it and just be done. But like an hour and a half, I'm not gonna work out for that long. So
Well,
Yeah,
for,
I don't wanna do
workout for Derek
research.
is a minute.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Couch to no K.
Hey. Yeah, you guys can find me at So Maddy Smith on Insta and on my podcast That Time of the Week with Maddy Smith. I would have you guys, but it's all women.
That's cool. We
Sorry.
got
I have a women's perspective though.
We throughout this pod
established.
we've noticed.
Bushwick Bears, petty crime refuge.